wake of his return to the country after spending a month in France attending to his health needs, President-elect Bola Tinubu has been besieged by a stream of visitors. On Tuesday was the turn of a delegation from his party, the All Progressives Congress, led by National Chairman Senator Abdullahi Adamu. Reports have it that the visitors seized the opportunity to table a proposal for zoning the office of the Senate President to the South-South geopolitical zone and the Northwest for the office of Speaker of the House of Representatives. Well, with the D-Day for the inauguration of the 10th National Assembly now only a matter of weeks, we are now at this moment being joined by Kassim Afegbua, a one-time Edo State Commissioner of Information. Welcome to the program, Mr. Afegbua.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Okay, so let's go straight into it now. We know that the president-elect is back in the country, and indications emerging from the visits is that the party leadership might have decided on the zoning formula for the 10th National Assembly leadership, with the South-South allegedly penciled in for the Senate President, while the Northwest is being considered for the speakership. Now, how does the zoning proposal fit into the broader political landscape of Nigeria, particularly with regards to issues of power sharing and regional representation?
Well, thank you very much. I don't speak for the party, the APC. They have their spokesman. But it will be gratifying to hear in the news that they are considering the South-South geopolitical zone for Senate presidency and perhaps the Northwest for Deputy Senate President. That will be cheering news for me, because I have been agitating the last 3 weeks that the South-South deserves that position of Senate presidency, going by the kind of contribution and support we give to the candidate, president-elect of the country, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But in terms of, what you say in terms of power sharing, I think that is fair enough for those who brought something on the table to be compensated. Because if you don't win an election, your ideas will remain with you without having the opportunity to translate them to positive dividends for the people. So the South-South geopolitical zone is very strategic in the collective aspiration of the country. It's very strategic in the economic consideration of the country. It's also very strategic in terms of the kind of support the zone gave to Bola Ahmed Asiwaju, knowing full well that the South-South has always been the stronghold of the PDP in the southern part of the country. So the APC was able to penetrate the South-South this time, winning Rivers and also coming second with over 46% of the votes in all the other 5 states of the South-South. So for me, it will be cheering news to have Senate President from the zone aware that it was only in 1979 to 1983 that we had Joseph Wires. In this dispensation, 24 years, the Southeast geopolitical zone has gotten it 5 times in 8 years spread. They have also been Deputy Senate President for 20 years, for 12 years. That makes a total of 20 years. So for me, I think what the Southeast actually want is president of the country and not Senate presidency. But the South-South needs Senate presidency at this time.
Well, noted, Mr. Afegbua. I wanted to ask another question, but you mentioned, basically rewarding those who brought something to the table. Should that be the focus, or what should be prioritized? Should be now what's in national interest, as opposed to rewarding those who brought something to the table?
I don't know how you reconcile your national interest or how you try to rationalize it. Because when you talk about national interest, you should also bear in mind that the South-South geopolitical zone, comprising 6 states of the South-South, has brought so much in the collective sufferance and development of Nigeria, whether you like it or not. Aside from being the economic hub, its own strategic role as the treasure base of the country cannot be overemphasized. And so when you talk about national interest, there's nothing that will be more national than considering such a zone, such an important zone, a component part of the country, with so many ethnic nationalities, Ijaw Nation, Urhobo Nation, Edo Nation, Efik, Calabar, Anang, Ibibio, and so many other, nationalities making up that particular zone. And so for me, It's more about representation and putting paid to cries of marginalization and dominance. If I get your national interest right, I think it would be auspicious at this time to consider the South-South zone. I know that people are making agitation for a Southeast Senate presidency, but I'm saying that there are too many conspiracies, and I'm not shy in saying them, because those who emerged senators from the Southeast zone, emerged senators scoring as much as 40,000 votes, 42,000 votes and thereabout, while they were giving their own candidate 2,000 votes, 6,000 votes, as the case may be. And don't forget that it's only when you win elections that you talk about power sharing. When you don't win, you have to agonize and lament. But that is not to say that they will not be accommodated in the new government. They certainly will produce ministers, head of parastatals, and what have you. But to ask on about 3 positions, which they have occupied for 5 good times in the history of this 24 years Fourth Republic, will be taking the handshake beyond the elbow.
I mean, I think what my colleague was trying to say is, how can the incoming administration ensure that the zoning proposal does not become a tool for rewarding political allies or blocking the aspirations of qualified candidates from underrepresented regions? Now, I want you to respond to that, and then also now talk about the other interests.
Well,
yes. Okay, respond to that, and we'll go to the next question.
Well, in terms of the underrepresenting interests and what have you, the incoming government would see the entire country as its own constituency. The president-elect is a consummate politician. He's a technocrat. He's a lawmaker, having been a senator before now. He's been an executive governor of Lagos State. He's been a party leader, and he's been active in terms of even birthing this democracy. And so he understands the concept of balancing all the equations, all the power algorithms in the country. But at our own subnational level, it's our responsibility and concern to have representation based on geopolitical consideration. I'm from the South-South geopolitical zone, and I'm saying that as much as you are talking about balancing, the balancing will be more auspicious, more appropriate if the South-South is considered for the number 3 position. There are others who are going to be asking for different other positions, including the Senate presidency, but it will take interplay of robust dialogue, robust conversation, constructive engagement, and collective bargaining to ensure that we're able to balance all the factors and come up with a zoning and power sharing formula that will be all embracing, all accommodating, and that will give vent to the respective geopolitical zone in terms of their interests and interplay of forces. So I know that Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the president-elect, is very conversant with the issues in the country. He understands the dynamics, and he is going to act in line with the supremacy of the party to take decisions that will be far-reaching in this respect.
Duly noted. Now, when it comes to the national working committee's inability to actually streamline, the number of contestants by zoning the leadership of the 10th National Assembly, how much more cumbersome would you say that has made, the whole process?
There will be nothing like cumbersome. Every geopolitical zone has got persons, male and female, who are duly qualified, who can demonstrate, competence, capacity, and qualification to vie for these offices. There is no local government in Nigeria where you won't even find a capable hand to preside over the collective patrimony of the country if the opportunity arises, whether you are from the majority tribe or the minority tribe or even the minor minority tribe. But the point is, in doing all of this, in choosing persons, we also have to look at the geopolitical interests that exist across the country. We also have to look at how much of influence a particular zone can exert to create the level of stability that we need, national cohesion, and try to see how we can build a country that is all-inclusive. It does not suggest, if I'm asking for Senate President for my zone, it doesn't suggest that I'm not going to consider other zones for other positions. But in terms of primacy and hierarchy, I'm saying that the South-South geopolitical zone is well positioned and well qualified to have that particular slot at this time.
Well noted. Now, of course, we do want to ask you a question. What's in it when it comes to the common man, in the South?
What is it?
I'm asking you what's in it for the common man when it comes. What's in it for the common man when it comes to the South when producing the Senate President? And I want to give you context. This is given the fact that the security situation in the Northwest, specifically in Katsina State, is worse than before the coming of President Buhari, who is from the area. Is it about the general good of the people or getting rewards for political elite of that region?
But politics is a combination of so many factors. And in politics, just like the last election, only one person is expected to win a contest. And when you say what is in it for the South person, it will go to suggest or prove to us as South Southerners that the new government is conscious, of our own role, of as the treasure base of the country, as our own role, as the economic hub of the country. It will also go to suggest that there's a sense of belonging and inclusiveness in the way and manner that the new government will take shape or will form its own approach to governance. It is not even about South alone, it's about the country as a whole, because the chief lawmaker of the country, who is the Senate President, presiding over the Senate and the Parliament, it has to do with laws that will impact positively on the well-being of every Nigerian. But we just want to take inspiration from the standpoint of the South perspective so that that sense of inclusion, that sense of belongingness will be further ingrained in our consciousness. And it is good for us to also be recognized in view of the role we played in ensuring that the APC candidate scored 46% threshold in the entire 6 states of the South, knowing full well that without you scoring those votes, the likelihood of you emerging as the president-elect will be very remote. And so, for the role the party has played, knowing full well that even the chairman of the presidential campaign of the opposition PDP was from the Akwa Ibom state of the South, and the party was still able to make such a very strong impact at the election. So it's just a matter of recognition. I do understand that the Northwest zone, particularly Katsina, that is embroiled in insecurity and all of that. The entire country is heavily challenged, no doubt about that. Like I said yesterday in one of your programs, it is the president-elect who have to deploy the resource of dialogue, constructive engagement, collective bargaining, and sitting down with people, agitation groups and all of that, to even take a decision holistically on certain things that can easily be traded away instead of,
Mr. Kassim Afegbua, thank you so much for joining us on Newsday. We appreciate your time and your insight. Thank you.